Monty and the Pharaoh.
Duh.
I'm having one fun with Monty Nefero, and I'm gonna put him in a crossface, and he's gonna go down right now. Yeah.
Hey! Nikita Koloff, the Russian Nightmare! And you're watching the #1 show on Long Island with Monty and the Pharaoh.
And I got, a little advice from somebody who said, yeah, fake it. I said, but I can't fake it. I can't fake it. I could fake it once, but I can't keep this up. He's not somebody who I'd hang out with. So I can't fake it,
I could fake it. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, ECW legend Sabu. How are you, sir? Nice.
Tell you the truth, I've been better. I'm not great.
Not great?
Well,
not great.
Let's get into it. Why aren't you great?
My back hurts. My wife died a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Our condolences.
Would you mind talking about Melissa at all?
We could talk a little bit if you want to.
Well, let's have at it. Could you maybe you could tell us what kind of person Melissa was?
She was a great person. She kept me in line. If it wasn't for her, I don't know where I'd be today. She saved my life a few times, and I couldn't save hers. I tried. She was a great person. Still, she was great.
How did you guys meet?
I met her about 15, 20 years ago in L.A. In passing, and then I met her again 2007 in WWE, and then I met her again 6 years ago when these guys were bullying her on the internet, talking about her, saying that she had sex with me and all this stuff back 20 years ago, and we didn't. We got stuck in the same hotel room, but I was a perfect gentleman, and she even said I was. I let her sleep in the bed. I slept in the chair. And then the guy who put us in the room together tried to say that we had sex together to cause some kind of thirst. And so they were bullying her 20 years later about this. So I got on there and said, hey, you guys, this ain't true. It's boom, 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 leave her alone. And they did. And then we became friends, and then we started dating.
We were recently suspended over COVID-19 comments with Mr.
Really?
Hyatt. Yeah,
Wow.
they
Well, I got suspended over racist, homophobic comments or something like that, and who doesn't have those or thoughts of those?
Understood.
Anybody who says they're not a racist or a little bit of a racist is lying.
Right.
Everybody's a little bit of a racist. When you go to jail, if you're not a racist, you're dead. You got to go to your own race. You got to go Mexican, black, white, whatever. You can't stick alone. You have to choose a side, and that side happens to be a race.
We had Rob Van Damen, and we asked how you were doing to Rob, and Rob had just nothing but great things to speak about you. And
I'm surprised.
Oh, you really?
Oh, he was raving about you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Rob?
Well, I was training this guy Samson for my uncle, and Rob was Samson's friend. So Samson brung Rob to meet my uncle to be trained, and so we trained him. And actually, my uncle made me do all the heavy lifting, and he just sat outside the ring and told me what to do with him. So that's how it started. That was like 1988.
Did you think it would take off the way it did, the chemistry between you and Rob on air? I mean,
yes and no. Like at the time, I was already wrestling 5 years when I first started teaching him. So I was a step ahead of him, but he could do backflips and acrobats more than I could. So he taught me that. I taught him how to be a wrestler. He taught me how to do backflips. So he raised the bar for me because at the time, when you're a first match guy, you stayed in the first match stuff. Like, you don't leave the ring, you don't use a chair, you don't bleed, you don't swear, you stay in the ring, you wrestle for 10 minutes, and usually it's a draw. Now, today, they have the first match, they have death matches in the first match.
Right.
Or tables and chairs and blood and all that in the first match and every match. And that's not how it is. When I started doing the crazy stuff, I worked my way there. I didn't start out doing cage matches or barbed wire matches. No. My first 5 years, I never left the ring, never even went to the top rope. The first 5 years, I did in practice, but not during a match, because I just wasn't. That's how first match guys do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they tone it down for the next match to be better than they are.
Right, it's a build-up, the
And
whole
then
card.
the final match, everything goes loose.
Sure.
You know, you can't have chaos in every match.
Right.
There's just no order that way. It's no fun.
Right.
It sounds like it would be, but it isn't.
Is that killing today's wrestling? That what you've just explained?
But what's that again?
Is that killing today's pro wrestling? What you just explained, that there's no build up anymore?
Yeah, that's like there's a lot of these deathmatch companies call me, and one thing is they don't pay. The other thing is that they don't make any reason to rhyme. Now, when I have a death match, it's usually because I wrestled them in a match and something led to another match, and then to a tag match, and then to a cage match, and then to a death match or something. Nothing starts out with leads up to a ladder match. Nothing starts out with a ladder match or with a death match. That's crazy. That's stupid. And they don't pay for. They don't. You get us 150 stitches in your arm. You got to fix it yourself or pay for it yourself. They don't pay for it, and you don't make enough money to pay for it. You know, so you let it go. They don't pay these guys. These guys get paid dirt. Yeah, and they're out there, you know, inhaling light tube dust and all that. You know, the light tubes are to me is ridiculous because they don't hurt. If someone hit me with a light tube in real life, it wouldn't even piss me off. I wouldn't feel it. Now, what would piss me off would be the powder that comes out of it, inhaling the fumes that come out of it, whatever you want to call it.
You know what? I'm an idiot because I was like, that's got to hurt.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It just
why do you think
makes a
they
big
do
noise.
it? That's why they do it.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think I use a table? It breaks my fall. If I didn't use a table, I'd smack on the floor and bounce off the cement.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I'd rather bounce off a table, and that breaks my fall. Everybody thinks when you hit a table, that hurts more than the floor. It doesn't.
So when a table doesn't give, though, that's got to hurt.
Well,
right?
yeah.
That's
the,
got to
the better it gives, the easier it is.
Right.
And in the beginning, I never gimmicked tables, and I never had tables gimmicked. Now, sometimes they were gimmicked without my request, and they'd fall down before I wanted to use them. But I like a hard table. The harder the table is, the more it breaks my fall. Now, if it doesn't break at all, then that's different. Then it kind of kicks my.
Gotcha. When RVD was here with us, he said something pretty interesting. You guys, to me, were both innovative. You were changing how wrestling was being looked at, especially in the ECW days. Rob mentioned that like an old-timer like Stan Hansen, as he was coming up, was like, oh, your style is ridiculous, son. And he would make fun of him and stuff until he finally got in the ring with him and realized, oh, wow, there is something to this. Was it easy for you? Did you have anybody giving you any grief, like behind the scenes, about the style that you were showing people?
Everybody gave me grief until they wrestled me. But the thing was, I wasn't killing my opponent. It just looked that way. I knew what I was doing.
Sure
The other
did.
guys were killing each other.
Yeah.
The guys that were copying me, they were killing each other. So what I would do after I put a guy through a table, I'd give him an extra $100 if he told everybody it hurt. I said, here's $100, keep your mouth shut. You know,
Okay.
and if anybody asks you, say, yeah, that table really hurt. Just so they wouldn't do it. And then one day, Taz put me through a table, and he told everybody, hey, that don't hurt.
Right.
And then everybody started doing it.
How did Sheik feel about your style?
He liked it. The thing was, he didn't. I learned that style kind of on my own. When we were training in his backyard, we did everything you're supposed to do the way he said to do it. You know, first match guides. But when he wasn't looking, me and Rob would do some crazy stuff. Then when he come back out, we'd stop and get back in line. And then when I went to Japan for the first time, I go, Sheik, what do you want me to do tonight? He goes, I want you to wrestle like I'm not watching. I go, what do you mean? He goes, when you're in the backyard doing all that crazy to your, I call it tackling dummy, but it was a mattress. You're doing all that crazy to your tackling dummy, and you think I'm not watching, but I was watching. I want you to do, and that was where the breaking the tables and getting crazy, because I do it when he wasn't looking, and now he said, now wrestle as if I'm not looking, you know. Yeah. So I did, and it got over big.
So ironically, he was seeing that what you were doing was the thing to do.
Yes,
and
exactly.
told you so.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Was there a lot of pressure being in, growing up with the Sheik? It's the Sheik.
No,
I
no,
mean-
not really. We didn't really tell that many people because he was a heel, and back then people hated the heels. They'd follow him home and try to kill him and stuff. And so when we go to the show or talked about him, we didn't tell people we were related to him because they'd take it out on us, or we thought they
Okay.
would. They never really did, but they said they would. So we didn't really brag about him being my uncle that much,
Right.
especially during the match.
Right.
We didn't say anything.
Right. Was he?
But like my close friends and neighbors knew.
Right. I respectfully ask this: was he safe in his own house, or did people drive by, figure out where
No,
he was?
he wasn't safe. When I was a little baby, when I was 3-4 years old, he used to live close to the street. Later on, he got a house a half a mile from the street because people would drive by, throw fire bombs at his mailbox, blow up his mailbox, throw fire bombs at his house, or follow him home. And he never was scared. I was scared.
Did he like it?
I was scared for him.
But did he like it? Like, did that?
Well, yeah.
Think he kind of got
the
off
more
on it?
people that followed him, the more they bought tickets.
Yeah.
The more the people got mad at him, more they bought tickets.
Sabu's thoughts on when kayfabe died.
I still don't like to say it died. I still kayfabe a little bit. I don't expose myself all the way. I can't. I just can't. That's not our business. Is kayfabe. If just like a magician, even though you know what he's doing is a trick, he's not going to tell you that it's a trick.
Right.
Why would he tell you it's a trick? I mean,
Right.
That's his trick.
Were you upset when the curtain call happened, the infamous curtain call at the Garden? Did that piss you off?
Yes, of course it did.
Okay.
I don't like. I don't like people knowing my tricks. Or
course.
know that it is a trick.
Absolutely.
So when I wrestled, when I went to ECW and FMW, I practiced so much to make it look so real and not be real. And not hurt nobody.
Oh, yeah.
And I hurt myself way more than I ever hurt anybody.
I believe it.
I always put myself in danger before my opponent. Even John Cena said, "Yeah, I heard that you hurt yourself before you hurt me." I go, "Yeah, you're right." He goes, "Well, I respect that." And I said, "Well, thank you." And when I wrestled John Cena, everybody said he was a crowbar, that he's hard to work with. He was excellent.
There you go.
He was excellent.
There you
he
go.
actually let me lead the match.
Soft hands?
Yes.
Nice.
Your feelings on Dark Side of the Ring, and as a legend like yourself, are you worried about going on those type of shows now, considering how they're trying to kind of turn?
Hey, look what happened to
you guys-
Tommy.
I am now, since the stuff with Tommy and
Yeah.
Van Dam, they said that they should have stood up and helped the stewardess or the flight attendant. And I agree, they should have. Someone should have helped her. Ric Flair. I'd never liked him anyways. He's a and I'll say it to his face, and I'll say it anywhere I see him. And someone should have stopped him. And if that's what he does, because I seen him do that stuff in the hotel room. As soon as he gets to the hotel, he gets drunk and gets naked. But that's kind of okay. He didn't corner somebody who didn't want to be cornered. Anybody in his room, they deserve to be cornered. But on an airplane, that was different, and nobody helped this woman. I almost cried for her.
What did you feel about Tommy's comments, though, that he felt it was like boys just being the boys?
Right.
I mean, what was your feeling on that?
I don't know. He should have did something. If he's such that good of a guy, and I know he is, he should have did something. Same with Van Dam. I'm disappointed in both of them. They should have did something.
Well, to be fair, right? Flair's a legend in the industry. You don't want to step on him because who knows what he'll do to you.
you
We're talking
He's
about
running around
that.
an airplane naked.
Right.
Step on him. What are
Right.
you talking about?
Do you think that
cover
they
him
were-
up? You put him back in his seat. You chain him down. So you can't do that. You're in public.
Why does Ric Flair feel like he has a right to do this type of stuff all the time?
I don't know. He gets drunk and believes his own hype. He believes what he's the best worker there is, but he's not the best wrestler. The best wrestler is Kurt Angle. But Flair's like the best worker. You got to remember, working is not fighting.
Right.
If I resist you, work isn't.
Right.
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 Now I consider myself a good worker, but a better fighter. But I haven't had to prove that very much because people, you don't have to. It's a business.
Sure.
We're not in the background. We're not in the playground. We're in a ring.
It's not a sport of
and it's
tough guys,
business.
right? In that essence, you're not really fighting, right? So
No.
you're there to take care of each other and entertain the fans that
Exactly.
want to see you.
And even though if I don't like you, I trust you to not hurt me on purpose. And I've been hurt on purpose many times.
Really?
Many
Wow.
times. And that's okay because I could take it.
Can you share a story where someone hurt you on purpose?
Well, when I wrestled for the FMW the last time before they went under, I dove on this guy, and he purposely moved out of the way, and I landed on my head, and I was knocked out for a month. I didn't remember a whole month, and every time I sneezed or jumped on my feet hard or stomped my foot hard, I lose consciousness.
You give this guy a receipt eventually for this wonderful feat he pulled on you?
No, I didn't realize how bad he didn't try to catch me till I seen it on video a year later. I just thought he just didn't do very good. Then I watched it on video. He moved out of the way, and I couldn't, and I landed straight on my head upside down, and it about killed me, and I didn't realize it.
Is there a part of you that you feel maybe you didn't want to go so extreme and you just wanted to be a Bob Backlund-ish type of wrestler, a Kurt Angle type of wrestler?
Yeah, of course. Like my uncle always said, when I started breaking the table, the first time I broke a table, it was me and him against two guys, and we lost the match. Of course, it's work. But he said, get back in the ring and get your heat back. I go, what do you want me to do? He goes, think of something. I go, I know what. I'll moonsault a table. He goes, what's that? I go, I'll show you. So I threw a table in the ring, and I moonsaulted it, and that took off ever since. I don't know what I was getting at, but but that's how that came about. When me and Rob were training in my uncle's backyard, he goes, you're not going to be able to do that to anybody. I go, what do you mean? He goes, they're not going to lay there and take it. I go, we'll change the business. We'll make them take it, or we'll do it so it doesn't hurt them. So it looks like it does. And that's what it was. And I don't like patting myself on the back that much, but one thing I do say, I'll pat myself on the back for this, is that I changed the work rate. When I first started, it was do as little as possible for as long as possible to get paid as much as possible.
True.
And I changed it to do as much as possible in a little amount of time as possible for a little money. You know, not do it for the money, to do it for the business.
We are huge fans of Vince McMahon Jr. Thoughts on Vince McMahon Jr., and have you ever run across him in a certain way where you actually spoke to him and things like that?
Well, my problem with him was he wanted to have a personal relationship with me. Well, that's fine, but he's not like somebody who I'd hang out with. Like, I'll talk business with him during business hours. I wouldn't chit-chat with him about anything other than business. And so he took offense to that. Whenever I would see him, I'd kind of would go the other direction just so I wouldn't have to talk to him. I didn't think you had to kiss somebody's to do your job. I watched everybody. They were acting big, they're bow-chested big, and then when they see Vince, boom, they drop right back down and start kissing right away, like completely changed their whole character. Disappointed me in them.
That must have
big time
annoyed you big
and I
time.
wouldn't do that. Yeah. And I got, a little advice from somebody who said, yeah, fake it. I said, but I can't fake it. I can't fake it. I could take it once, but I can't keep this up. He's not somebody who I'd hang out with, so I can't fake it.
I could fake it.
What I didn't like about WWE was it was scripted. Everything was scripted. I understand that for guys who don't have the right frame of mind to put together a good match. I understand that. But I do. I was wrestling 20 years when they hired me, so I thought they were hiring Sabu for 20 years of experience, not for a body. But they were hiring me for a body. They wanted me to do what I was told and do it their way. And I don't mind doing things what I'm told, but if it's not things that I would do, I would speak up. I go, Sabu wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do that, And they go, well, we don't care what you would do. We care what you're gonna do. You're gonna do it, even if you've never done it before. So I would tell them stuff I was gonna do during the match, then I wouldn't do it on purpose. Just so I didn't like telling people my tricks before I did them. Even Vince, I didn't like telling them.
Right.
So I would give them like they would want a play-by-play before the match, and I'd give them a fake play-by-play and then change it in the ring. Not even change it, just do the other stuff in the ring that I felt was right. Because when I first started wrestling, a good worker was considered a good worker by how he reacted on his feet. Not how good he remembered something. Even we didn't care if you could remember a spot or not. Long as you could do the right thing at the right time, that's what counted, And that's what I kind of did. I'd go to the ring, not have a plan, but the plan would come to me as it went along, And what made a good worker from a great worker was the guys who could make that happen on their feet without a plan.
Yeah. And then Pharaoh said, well, you're homicidal, genocidal,
and suicidal. Yeah. And he said,
not really.
Don't say that. No, he did not say that. Now don't fib. Sabu actually said, yes, I am.
It's a work.
No, it's a work. I can't anymore.
Anyway, you're going to continue on. Let's not lose. We lost New Jack. Can you talk about New Jack a little
Very
bit?
good friend of mine.
And tell us the type of person.
He wasn't as bad as people thought. Me and him have always been on a good level. Even when one time, a funny story is, he was saying, everybody in this dressing room. But not you, Sabu. I said, all right, then, I got you
down the
back.
line.
But at New Jack, his stuff was blown out of proportion. He wasn't he wasn't as bloodthirsty as people thought. It was a work. It was a work.
He was working the shit out of us.
If he really wanted to stab somebody,
man.
he wouldn't stab him in the forehead. He'd stab him in the stomach.
So when you say Ric Flair's a piece, is that over the top or is that just a straight?
That's a little over the top. I just don't like him. He didn't like me. He doesn't like me. I don't like him, and that's it.
Why doesn't he like you? What did you do?
I don't know.
He just flat out said, "I don't like you."
I'd come into a dressing room, shake everybody's hand. I'd go to shake his hand. He'd turn around.
Wow.
Or he'd come in and shake everybody's hand and skip me. For some reason, I don't know why. So I stopped putting my hand out for him. I go, okay, I get it. He don't want to be friendly to me. That's fine. But don't be rude to me either.
Do you think that and again, speculation, think maybe he didn't like your style? And
I don't know. He's a jealous prick. And I'm not afraid to say that. I don't give a if he was here or not. I'll tell him who his face. He's a jealous prick. And he doesn't need to be. He's on top. He's the best. He's the best worker there is. But he still wants to cut down the lower guys or not give them a chance.
Tell us about your relationship with Paul Heyman.
I first talked to him in 92, I think, and he seen my stuff in Japan and said that he was starting a new company called World Wrestling Network, and he wanted me to come in for that. I said, okay, good. And then out of the blue, this promoter from New Jersey, Dennis Corluzzo, called me and said, call Todd Gordon. He runs this company called ECW in Philadelphia, and he's a sucker. He'll give you $500.
He's a sucker.
So I called him up, Todd Gordon, and he about freaked out and goes, how much do you want? And I was afraid to say 500, so I said 300. He said, sure, come on in. So I came in the same day. The same day he fired Eddie Gilbert and hired Paul Lee. So it wasn't a plan for me to be there and Paul Lee to be there. It had happened.
Right.
And then Paulie just said, do your thing, and I did my thing, and that wasn't a plan either. That just happened. It wasn't supposed to be a style or a company pattern after me or nothing. It just happened that way. What Paul did and didn't do was stop the other guys from stealing my. When I wasn't there, he let them do my spots, and yes, it got them over, but it also watered down what I was doing.
Sure.
Sure. It made it look like from being a specialist to being anybody could do it, which I didn't like. And when you're in a company, the promoter himself is supposed to protect you, protect your gimmick so no one else does it. Like when my uncle wrestled, no one else on the show used a gimmick or bled or anything before he did. Mm-hmm. So his matches were special. Not that he was the only special match, just that night was supposed to be his special match. And same with me. When I was there, I didn't want nobody breaking tables and doing chairs and blood and all that before my match. So Paulie goes, okay, they won't. We'll put you on early then. They put me on earlier than everybody else did after me. So it didn't make sense, but I kind of, it ticked me off. He didn't protect me that way.
Did you ever say anything to him?
Sure, I did.
And
every day. And he says, no, it didn't happen. And I go, I've seen a video. He goes, well, the lighting wasn't good. I go, well, but it still happened. He goes, well, I wasn't paying attention. I go, what are you talking about? I mean, if I didn't say anything, he would never have told me, and I would never known.
Bubba Ray,
Okay.
He seems very arrogant and seems like he thinks he knows everything. Am I off base here? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
He does know a lot, and he is arrogant, but he's a pretty smart guy, and he's a hard worker, and he's very intelligent.
Was he one of the guys that tried to hold people down to make sure?
No,
okay.
It was just the opposite. He was being held down, and then they brought him in doing a stupid gimmick at first, like a stuttering idiot type of thing, and changed.
That was funny.
then he changed it into something serious.
Right.
Him and Devon.
Yeah.
And
Paul now is, I don't know how much money Paul's got. He's probably a multi-millionaire at this
you
point.
can't even count it.
Yeah.
At what point should this guy be saying, hey, man, you know what? I'm bringing you in to be a manager. I'm bringing you in to do something. Why does this not happen?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't ask him because I just can't. But I don't know. I wondered that too. I wonder why he didn't say, "Hey, I got something for you, a position here for you," because he's on top of the world, and I help him. I help him get there. I don't care what he thinks or not. Nobody gave when he took over ECW. Nobody gave him a shot of succeeding.
May I just correct you on one thing? You didn't help him get there. You got him there.
Okay, well, you can say that.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's what everybody feels.
You and the guys you mentioned, absolutely, you all got him. Does he ever call you? Does he ever check in with you?
He has been lately. He called me a few months ago. Then he called me when Melissa died. But
Okay.
you know, it's a little late on reaching out. You know, he should have reached out sooner. But it wasn't. I don't know how to explain it. But he has called me in the past few months and not too long ago. And it's hard for me to talk about this. But when I was gonna go to WCW, I had a secret meeting with Kevin Sullivan, J.J. Dillon. And they go up to room, whatever. So I went up to the wrong room, and there was a bunch of the WCW booking team was there. And I walked in the room and turned around and walked back out. And one of those guys went and called Paul Lee and said I was there negotiating the contract. So when Kevin Sullivan and J.J. Dillon gave me this contract, it was for a lot of money, more money than I can imagine. So I go, I got to take this back to my hotel room and read it. And Kevin goes, read it, just sign it. But really what I wanted to do was tell my mother first and then sign it and give it back to him. But when I called my mother, at the same time someone came to the door, at my house door at home, and the dog started going crazy. So it made my mom panic, and she had a heart attack. Not because I told her about the contract before I could tell her. So I went home straight away from Georgia, went right back to Lansing, Michigan. Within 6 hours, I was in the ICU with her. And I called Kevin Sullivan and said, Kevin, I'm at the hospital with my mother, but I have the contract here ready. I signed it, and I'm ready to fax it over to you. He goes, too late. We're already being sued. And it wasn't even being sued. It was the threat of being sued made them drop it. And it was for more money than I would have been set right now. I've been still rich by now. And it was a year later, they went out of business and died. And Kevin and JJ thought I could save their company. And so did I. I thought I could come in and save it also. But I didn't get the chance to. And so I kind of hated Paul for that. But my mother made me forgive him because she had 12... Me going home to her gave her 12 years more of life.
Okay.
Otherwise she would have died, she said.
Okay.
So she made me forgive him. So I do forgive him, but not completely because he's getting fat and I'm not.
Right. Understood.
And it's hard for me to talk about it because I feel sorry for myself, but I shouldn't feel sorry for myself. But I feel I didn't get a square deal, and it was from somebody who already had their deal.
Right.
Paul Lee is set for life before any of this. And so, but I wasn't, and I was wrestling for the love of the business, not for money. But when I needed the money, it was taken away from me.
Took it from you.
I wrestled. I didn't even think about money when I wrestled. I just thought, wow, I'm getting paid to be treated like Elvis. I come to town, everybody shits their pants and comes and sees me and has me sign stuff, takes pictures, and that feels great. So to me, that was payment, not the dollars. But when it came down to where I needed the dollars, I didn't have it. It wasn't there. It was taken from me.